to Folklore Unlocked. I'm Austin, and like usual, I'm joined by Ethan.
Yep, hello again, everyone.
And this week, we are covering the Changeling, which is a human-like creature from European folklore that is also known as an off, or I'm going to say oaf, because like it looks like O, and it is believed to be a fairy that has been swapped with a human, which is typically a child, more than likely a baby, that has, and that the child or infant has been kidnapped by other fairies. So in this case, not naughty, very naughty fairies.
And you might think, why would fairies steal a human child? And we have some reasons for that, or some suspected reasons. The three reasons are given for why fairies would take human childs is A, using the child as like a servant to do work for the fairies. Malice toward the humans, just being mad at humans, so they just steal one of the children. Or wanting the love of a human child. And then also, human milk is necessary for fairy newborns to survive. So that is partially the reason why they would steal a human child and leave their own child with the mother. There is also talk that they will sometimes steal mothers and bring them to the fairies' world to raise the fairy children. So either way, either taking a child or taking the mother, either way would be able to get human milk. So
Either way, the fairies are doing a crime regardless.
yes, yes. And I also saw that sometimes they will not leave like changeling like children. They'll sometimes leave like an old or elderly changeling. I think that's the reason why later on we'll see like some of the reasons people think that people are changelings. But they would leave like an older changeling there with the mother to like live in comfort for his like last years or whatever. And I think that was just kind of like, oh, okay. Okay, so how to identify a changeling? In Irish folklore, a child appearing like sickly or not growing in size could be thought to be a changeling. Also, kind of like how I was talking about, they would leave like elderly changelings with the mothers sometimes. Premature beards or long teeth. Intelligence and insight beyond their years. Just a child should not be able to know anything at all, and they might be able to, I don't know, talk or something like that. Also, just being able doing stuff while it's alone. So that could be like dancing, jumping, playing an instrument, just like doing anything that a child would not be able to do right when the parents like leave or like are asleep or something like that could be a reason for a changeling.
Well, let's be honest. We danced as kids. Maybe not very good, but
Well, I know, but it's one of those things where, like, especially when like they're like very, very young, it's like one of those things where they go from like being sickly or something like that to like right whenever people leave, it's like, oh, I can jump, I can play, I can do all this. So some of the ways to like ward off a changeling are like there's a few weird ones here, but inverted coat or open iron scissors if you were to like lay that on the baby or something like that or around the baby, that is said to be able to ward off the changeling. Which iron is kind of one of those things that a lot of like superstitious things like are weak to iron or stuff like that. So I can kind of see that. I don't really know about the inverted coat as much, but then, of course, getting baptized as early as possible. Apparently, when you're baptized, they will not be able to take you, which that is pretty like known about a lot of different things. Um, then there are some stones in Cornwall, which are the methanol stones, and they are said to have a pixie or fairy guardian that can return a changeling with the real person. I think whenever you like pass the changeling above or around the stones. I also saw where there were some people talking about how if you threw a changeling child into a fire, it will bring back the baby too, and that seems like a real way to like just kill your child and like nothing come of it. Uh
which we'll kind of get into a little later on, but
oh really?
that's a
Okay.
whole different story.
Yeah, that and sometimes it's said that if you would torture the changeling child, it'll sometimes make the fairy bring back your own child. And I could kind of see that, but also like I can't see why you'd want to torture a child. I don't know.
Neither do I. And some theories behind changelings. In German folklore, possible parents of changelings have have four possibilities. The first possibility, which Martin Luther, not the early Protestant reformist, believed in and advocated for, was the devil was the father of the changelings, and he advocated for the end of changelings. So, not very peaceful. Another possibility was a female dwarf, a water spirit, and a Rogan moon, or which means riot in German, or Rogan Mutter, which means rye mother, which are both demonic women living in cornfields that steals human children.
That's kind of
So,
terrifying.
so two theories are straight up terrifying, and then the other two are like, oh well, female dwarf or a water spirit.
Yeah, two of these are not like the others.
Exactly. And finally, all that German I've been studying pays off.
hmm
Knew it would come in useful one day. And there's three people believed to be changelings. Not saying they were changelings, but for whatever reason, people believe them to be. And that they are King Charles the First, who is believed to be a changeling because of his quote unquote peevish nature, and the nursemaids claim that a cloaked figure appeared at his bedside and put the cloak over the cradle when he was a baby. So whether that nursemaid's claim is true or not, we won't know because King Charles lived between 1600 and 1649. So we'll never know. The second person believed to be a changeling is Michael Leahy, who was a 4-year-old believed to be a changeling by Anne Rock. And Lee was bathed in the River Flesk by Rock, and he sadly drowned on the third attempt in 1826. And somehow Rock was found not guilty. How she was found not guilty, I'll never know, but from what I read, she was guilty as guilty as the sky is blue. And probably one with the most information on the case was Bridget Cleary, who was murdered by her husband on March 15th, 1895, for allegedly being a changeling. And according to what I found, she was either burnt alive or shortly after her death. And she was reported missing in March 1895 after evidently being ill for several days. And the illness is believed to have been bronchitis. A doctor visited the Cleary's house on March 13th and said a priest needed to be called to deliver her last rites. And on March 16th, rumors started saying that Bridget was missing. Her burned corpse was found in a shallow grave on March 22nd. 7 people were found guilty of, of quote unquote wounding, including John Dunn, Patrick Kennedy, and Michael Kennedy. Michael Cleary was sentenced to 20 years because of manslaughter. Manslaughter.
I
Not
mean,
not even not even murder. Manslaughter.
oh,
I mean, with both Michael and Bridget, like they so clearly committed murder that it's not even funny.
people were superstitious back then. They could get away with more stuff.
And both Michael Cleary and Rock got off with a slap on the wrist. I know Michael Cleary got 20 years of jail time, but you know, still,
Mm.
that's a slap on the wrist. And my thoughts, I think the story of the Changeling is interesting, but I think it's no more than a story to explain deformations or early facial hair growth. So I don't think there's really anything to it besides well,
Yeah, I agree with Austin there. I don't believe in the stories. I think it was just people's way of trying to find an explanation for why people or children were different or why people like disappeared and stuff. But yeah, I don't think fairies and stuff like that are real or anything like that. So
but a reminder this was part one of a kind of a two-part interconnected part series. So next week we're covering the Weisse and the Weisse Weiber of Germany, which translates into white women. So hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Any last words you want to say, Ethan?
notice, thank you for watching, everyone.
Well, we'll see you next week with the white women of Germany, and we'll see you next week. Like, comment, subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Follow us on Spotify if you're listening on Spotify. and we'll see you next time.
Yep. Bye, everyone.